the Grandtag podcast, Conversations on Wealth and Legacy. Welcome to the Grandtag podcast, Conversations on Wealth and Legacy. I'm Barbara, and today we're diving into a topic that every family faces, the emotional side of wealth. In the first episode of this two-part series, we're talking about intergenerational conversations, how parents and children talk about money, legacy, and values, or sometimes how they don't. So these are generational gaps in wealth conversations. Cass, Peter, you work closely with high net worth families. When it comes to these legacy discussions, could you share with us some wins or maybe some breakdowns?
I think I manage a certain family. This particular client of ours, he was born in the 60s. So the wealth was actually amassed over the late 1970s to early 80s, where there was a manufacturing boom. They are actually in the hardware business. So at a point of time, I know the client of ours, actually he has no education. So what he did was he built his fortunes by working for someone and slowly coming out on his own. And then today he's one of the largest hardware manufacturers in the region, right? So he has three children. And the three children are actually part of his, his family business, right? I think one of the key challenges, right, what we see is actually a mindset difference. For example, for the client, right, who is in his now is in late 60s, right? He came from the baby boomers generation, right? So he built his fortunes, his wealth using hard work, dedication, and discipline, right? That's how he views success. Whereas for the children, when we had a chance to be introduced to the children, of course, that is after a couple of family visits. Then we get to know the children are part of the family business. And then when we had a chance on a private lease, when we had a chat with them, they feel that the hardware business is really a little bit old school, old fashioned, right? Primarily because they are born in the 90s and then they are, in the digital generation, as we call it. They feel that, in terms of fortunes and wealth should be built on seizing the right opportunity, right? So they are actually eager to kind of move out on their own, but yet at the same time, they felt there's actually challenges because as you know, a client of ours, which is the father, the parents, right? They wish for. To them, legacy planning is our children or their future generations continuing the family business and making it even better.
Yes.
Right. Whereas for the children, right, they feel that they want to prove, right, that their methodologies, whatever they are, because they're educated in the UK or the US, whereas their parents are not. So they feel that their new ideas can be better placed in other areas. So we get two immovable objects, and the challenge is to put these two together. So I think we at Grandtag, we managed to come to bring them closer together by facilitating the discussion about legacy planning and allowing the parents to also share their views on how they look at it, because generally parents, they don't talk about legacy planning to their children, or at least in Asian families we see a lot of times parents deciding for the children. That's right up front, right? And the children will just take it as it is. It's like almost taking like orders to them, right? But actually, deep inside, they want to be able to also express. So I think the challenges, or I wouldn't call it the highs and the breakdowns, but oftentimes we as advisors, we want to facilitate that, the intergenerational discussion.
Yeah. And it's very important, the role that we play in bridging the gap, isn't it?
Yeah, of course, definitely. Well, most of the time that we meet our clients, we find that the conversation starts not only with themselves, they want to ensure that the children is also aware of what they want to plan for. But the problem comes with this point. First generation works very hard, build their wealth, and then they start sending their children overseas for studies. And while the children are overseas, they enjoy a different lifestyle. And after that, they have different views of life, and also their exposure is different. And when they come to the part about wealth discussion, most of the time, the parents is very concerned What if anything happens and this amount of wealth transfers to them? Would they be able to manage it? That's the main thing. While the kid is thinking, oh, don't worry, I will get it anyway, right? My parents will have to transfer to me. Well, I'll wait, I'll discuss it later. So there's this divide in a sense. One is very concerned, the other one thinks that, oh, in time to come, I'll get it.
Yes.
So it is important to have that conversation early. And that's where we are able to facilitate, because talking about wealth, talking about their transfer, talking about legacy is what we do best in Grandtag. Yeah.
That's so true, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially in Asian families when money is a very sensitive topic. So how do you even start the conversation without it being awkward?
Well, we had a few occasions where it starts from the banking side of the business, right? Because the bank manages the wealth of the client. And in that conversation, they talk about, oh, how do you want to grow this amount of money? Who is it for? Is it for certain purposes? So in that discussion, it starts to transfer to the fact that the client need to plan for an eventuality where the wealth is transferred, right? So to bridge such conversations, I have one occasion that the client invited the children to be in the same presentation, listening to us as we present what are the common ways to transfer wealth, what are the issues with wealth transfer. Is having a will, that's all is needed for transfer, or there are many other ways. So in the whole presentation, after that, we find that the conversation started to take place
Yes.
between the children, the parent, and also the banking side, the bankers, and ourselves. So as we are looking at a more integrated solution to help the client.
That's true. And these are hard but necessary questions that you ask, isn't it?
That's right.
So I'm just very curious. Let's deep dive, Peter. Have you ever encountered a situation when the next generation will tell you, I didn't agree with what the founder is, the direction of their parents, the decisions that their parents have made. Maybe they questioned the fairness of or the values that is being planned by their parents.
It's quite a situation here in Asia, because most Asian parents have these values that they plan for the family. Yeah. And they put it in the will, and after they pass on, then the family know what is in the final will.
Yes.
So usually the children don't really get to be very clearly know what the parents going to get, or what are they going to get from the will, although they know they're going to get something. In contrast, the Western style of wealth transfer is very, very different, because they plan using different methods of wealth transfer, using a trust, using a will, using a joint ownership structure, so as to have different way of transferring the wealth. And the children will be involved, because if I'm going to put an asset, a property with my son, his name will be there. If I pass away, the assets go to the surviving person. So that's very clear, right? But Asian parents just say, okay, I plan everything. When I pass away, it'll be distributed according to the will.
And that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
I think oftentimes for Asian families, maybe also because of the upbringing and the cultural values that they
Absolutely.
hold. What I normally encounter is, the parents do not wish for their children to just live off their the fortunes that they have built. They want them to also put dedication into whatever they do, and then find a successful path. At the same time, continue to bring the family business forward, or the family legacy forward. So in terms of the values, or from an Asian family's perspective, that's what they hope to achieve.
That's right. But, in families, it's not just the family itself, But Cass, what about the in-laws? People marrying into these families. Now, should they have a say in legacy discussions or even the insurance policies? Because realistically, they often influence the family members, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely right. Now, before we address the in-laws, right, it's interesting you mentioned about insurance policies. Now, back about 10, 15 years ago, insurance policies in the high net worth community, it wasn't viewed as a tool for to serve them. It's more to serve maybe the non-wealthy families as a protection, as liquidity purposes. But today, over the past couple of years, we have seen tremendous innovation, the right sizing or right fitting in terms of the talent pool in this industry, that we have seen tremendous new frontiers that they've built in order to better serve the high net worth communities. So today, actually, insurance is almost a indispensable toolkit
Right.
for private wealth advisors and even legal and tax professionals, right? Whenever they advise these high net worth families in terms of their legacy planning.
Right.
Right. So coming back to the in-laws, right? You're absolutely right. They play a part, might be publicly or subtly. What I mean by that, we have heard about, when in Asia, or at least in this part of the world, we have seen family disputes, legal battles over the will, disputing about fairness. That's what Peter mentioned. Fairness about distribution. The children are not happy. Sometimes, why are the children unhappy or siblings fight amongst each other is because of their other half, which we call the in-laws,
Yes.
AKA, right? So, between, cover up in the sheets in the bedroom, the discussions that's going on about the family wealth, the family legacy, although they are not right up there in terms of building the fortunes, but they will eventually also benefit from the fortunes that's built from the first generation.
Yes.
Right. So the second generation or the future generations, the in-laws are as much a participant in the family discussions or family wealth discussions. So to address some of these potential risks in future costly legal disputes or unhappiness, right, between families, because I do not think, coming from the perspective of the patriarch, which is the first generation, the parents, they do not want, once they are no longer around, right, they hope the family will stay closer together and not, because of unfortunate legal disputes, everyone is just going on their own path with their own mini families, right? So one suggestion that we usually bring forth, right, when we see such a potential risk, is we advise the client to actually set up a family charter.
Yes.
A family charter is actually a very good basis of it's more to document and provide clarity in terms of how in the future, how the family wealth should be maybe distributed or how it should be managed. I think that way, with clarity, even the in-laws, if they were to want to participate, they can also voice out, right? Maybe in a family setting, a family meeting.
Interesting. Very good topic, because now insurance is what you call also definitely an asset class. And with that said, all the family members, including those who marry into the family, have their eyes on that, right? Peter, any additional thoughts?
Well, I came across quite a few cases where the main asset or the main estate of the family is very heavy on land, on properties, and businesses. So when the client wants to do planning for distribution, some of this is very difficult to break a property and divide by three. Right? You have this decimal
Yours is the
thing and-
kitchen, yours is the
Yeah,
living
that's
room,
right.
and I get the
So
driveway.
They need, they basically need something to equalize the distribution, so that at least the property go to A, the business go to B, and the daughter, maybe C, gets a whole lump sum. That is one way.
Yes.
Or at least if there's differential, the insurance payout can be divided easily, because let's say $10 million, it just divide in small percentages. So we see that this is how our solution-based kind of need-based understanding would help us cater to the client's solution. Yeah, and not just taking up a program and you got this amount for estate planning. No, it's not that. It is integrating with the client's current situation, and what else can we do to enhance the value of his estate? What else can we do to help him minimize the possible issues that come later? So this is what we as consultants, myself and Cass, sit down and have multiple sessions with the client if needed and tailor-made the solution.
That's very interesting. So now it really does sound like families need a translator. Families need this facilitator, not just for language, but also for intent, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
So, like what you said, more than just being an advisor, that's where we step in to find ways to bridge the gap and make solutions for them as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you want to add anything to Peter's point, Cass?
I think with regards to facilitation especially, I think we are almost like a marriage counselor. Just kidding.
I see
We
your
listen- we
point.
listen to
Yes.
many of
It's
them.
kind of
yes.
like the
Yeah.
psychological part of it is, yes, we with the financial tools, we are in the world of wealth planning in the financial industry, but oftentimes it's really the ability for us to bring two generations or even three generations together, right, in a very comfortable setting where they can actually talk about express their views. Now, in wealth planning, in legacy planning, we also at Grandtag we also help to facilitate the intergenerational legacy planning by what we call a afterlife planning. The afterlife planning is a topic, even though for a lot of Asian contexts a bit taboo, but today we have seen a lot of families willing to participate in this afterlife planning where we help the families to visualize. It's more of visualization about what happens beyond the
Yes.
current generation's timeline, right? Because once they are able to see what happens beyond, we can then start making plans for it
Right.
to achieve a certain common objective or
Yes.
a objective or a outcome that they desire. When we set the path for that visualization, we also realize that actually both the parents, the children, or even the grandchildren, right? Because we are now seeing the grandchildren taking on the mantle of the family business or coming into the space of understanding how the family fortunes are being built. So they are as much as participants as well, right? So when we visualize that, everyone feels that they are a part of this legacy plan and not one to two to three. Of course, of course, in terms of timeline, it's a linear approach, but we want to look at it from a multifaceted approach whereby everyone provides their view. Ultimately, what is the outcome that they want to achieve? And then we help them to build tools to bring them forward.
That's true. So times have changed, solutions have progressed, and people now are having much more open conversations with
That's
each
right.
other. So for a family listening today, maybe the founder is ready to talk, but the children aren't, and vice versa. What's one small step that each generation can take to start the conversation? Peter?
Well, interestingly, just host a lunch with all your children and have a presenter to present family wealth transfer, effective solutions. This can be presented by us as a consultant. Therefore, it's a very neutral conversation because we bring up case studies of how wealth is transferred in Asian contexts, and also how wealth is transferred in the Western context, so that they could see that are we able to find a way that the family is able to talk and plan together. Yeah, so that conversation is very, very interesting.
So a casual lunch,
Yeah.
get together, a
With
free
a
and easy
presentation,
sharing session.
sharing, that's
Nothing
right.
too formal, nothing too just free flowing, open minded conversations.
Yeah.
Cass?
Well, I think coming from the younger generation's perspective, they might want to hold it in a cafe. But the idea is just simply being curious. Being curious will mean that because they themselves, when they think about how their family wealth is being built, I think it's also being respectful of their heritage,
Right.
about how their parents or their grandparents, right, has set the path, right, in an era whereby we talk about information is the scarcity of information, the undeveloped technology which they get to enjoy today, right, is forming appreciation, but then at the same time being able, right, to that curiosity to be able to bring it forward, whereby simply over a lunch, it could be a lunch, it could be just a coffee session at the family's residence, because
Right.
usually Asian families, being Asian families, they like to have all their children, kids living together, right, to
Yes.
form that three generation family all together, so that everyone is comfortable with each other. So it could be just a simple a session at the family residence, whereby we can facilitate, again, back to giving them some ideas to kickstart, but let them talk it out.
Yeah.
Right, let this younger generation. In fact, they might be the one doing presentation, because they are they're flush with information today.
Yes,
right. So
that's
they
so
could be the one to
true.
lead the way,
Yeah.
and we help to provide the tools that they want to achieve the outcome that they
Absolutely.
intend.
Yeah.
So the key thing is really just start the conversation.
Yeah.
And nowadays, nothing should be taboo anymore, right?
That's right.
If you want your legacy to be, to live on and to be as what you intended to be beyond your lifetime, then the conversation should be started now.
Yes, that's right.
Right.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your insights. It's very, very useful for us to be sharing all these, because people are not aware sometimes, and awareness can start the conversation today.
Yes.
Yes.
And thank you to all our listeners for joining us for this episode of the Grandtag Podcast, Conversations on Wealth and Legacy. Stay tuned for our next episode as we dive into the world of modern, blended families and its complexities. This is Barbara signing off, and we look forward to having you with us in all of our future episodes. Of the Grandtag Podcast, Conversations on Wealth and Legacy.